mock draft. This one is a 12-team PPR draft, and I'm drafting from pick 4. I'm going to start things up. I'll talk through every pick I make, and if I'm thinking it, I'm probably saying it. I'll talk about how I build my team, how I make my decisions through a draft, and we'll see what we get. We'll fire it up. First pick, Chase. I would have liked Chase first overall. Bijan, in this spot, this has gone basically with my rankings. I would go probably Chase, Jefferson, Bijan, and then I would go Gibbs over Saquon. Why do I take Bijan and Gibbs over Saquon? I would probably take CeeDee Lamb over Saquon. It's really just, I don't trust a 28-year-old running back. I've played fantasy for 15 plus years. I've seen a lot of guys have their last year at 27 and then fall off. And for pick 4 in the draft, I don't want that risk. Jahmyr Gibbs has just as much upside, so I'm taking Jahmyr Gibbs. The rest of this is kind of going chalk. Puka Nacua might slip based on Matt Stafford's injury. We don't really know at this time. I'm kind of hoping to see kind of what running backs fall to us. I would really like Drake London or A.J. Brown, but I don't think it happens. Here we go. So we did get A.J. Brown to fall to us here. We could take Josh Jacobs. I don't really like Josh Jacobs to repeat what he did last year. You know, there's a lot of chatter from the Packers. We need a wide receiver 1 from Josh Jacobs. Going into the year last year, Matt LaFleur saying, we don't need a wide receiver 1. I don't think of anyone as a wide receiver 1. I don't like that term. I think that just fit because they didn't have a top guy. So I'm not really looking at what they did last year with poor receiver play. Later in the year, they started to rely on Josh Jacobs pretty heavily. I'm not sure that repeats. I like what they did with Matthew Golden or bringing him in. So I'm gonna let this slide a little bit. I'm gonna probably go A.J. Brown, who has top 5 receiver upside. I don't really worry about his age or a ton about the passing volume in the offense. I'm going to go with A.J. Brown because I think I can get Kyren Williams possibly on the way back, and I would be pretty happy with Chase Brown as well. So there's a chance both of those go, and then we have to pivot. But I think I'm going to go A.J. Brown and hope that I get one of those running backs. So there goes Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill, Trey McBride. It's looking good for us. So we can take whichever one we like. I like Kyren Williams. I've seen him do it for a long time. If this is the year Chase Brown breaks out, on top of what he did last year when he was running back 10, Kyren Williams was running back 7 in 12 games. I like seeing 16 touchdowns, 15 touchdowns. I've seen the Rams get a lot of touchdowns with guys like Cam Anderson, Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers, players that played on the Rams or played poorly in other places, played well on the Rams, and then left and didn't really do anything. Now, I don't know that Kyren Williams is an amazing talent, but they signed him to a contract extension, and I think he's a lock to get double-digit touchdowns. So I'll take that there. So we've got 2 really strong running backs. We'll be trying to look at kind of what receivers come back to us. Maybe I'm looking for Devontae Adams. I don't really worry about his age. I'd be pretty happy with him, but he is gone. At this point, I don't know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice's suspension, and maybe by the time you're watching this, we do know. So I'm gonna skip him here. I'll let one of the bots take him. If we knew he wasn't getting suspended, I'd get him right now. I would really like him at the 409. But I think we can find another receiver. I'm targeting Xavier Worthy in the 5th. Kind of capitalizing a little bit on that suspension, and I just think he's really good. And I think this offense is ready to bounce back with Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju in a much smaller role. Like last year, they had to rely on Juju Smith-Schuster. They had to rely on DeAndre Hopkins coming over in a trade. They didn't have their lead running back. I don't really look at last year and think like, yep, that's what the Chiefs are now. So if there was no Rice suspension, I would take him here. If I hadn't gone 2 running backs, say JSN had fallen to me, I probably would have gone JSN and then targeted Kamara or Hampton in round 4. But I really like Kyren Williams too, so I went with that. If Ken Walker had been here, that's another running back I really would have liked at 409. I would have been thrilled to get Devontae Adams or really even DJ Moore. So I'm going to go with DK Metcalf here, and then I'm hoping to get Xavier Worthy on the wraparound. So there goes Rashee Rice, Hampton, Zay Flowers. So, for example, I like Xavier Worthy to outproduce Zay Flowers by a lot. There's a chance that he doesn't outproduce him, but in my mind, if he does outproduce Zay Flowers, it's by a lot. I think he moves into a much larger role with the Chiefs this year, so I'm targeting him a lot in round 5. So, for example, I like Xavier Worthy much more than Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton, who was wide receiver 15 last year after mostly being a wide receiver 3. He'll be 29, so is it a late career breakout or is it kind of a 1-year thing? I'm not really shooting on him to become a top 2 wide receiver 2 again this year. I'm going to take my shots that Xavier Worthy could be a wide receiver 1, and in the 5th round, I get a massive value gain. So players here, I'd like to get a tight end, and I might consider Travis Kelce here. I know he had a slow start last year in a bad year for the Chiefs offense, but he was tight end 5. I think he could be tight end 5, 6 again, and then I don't have to spend my year scrounging for a tight end. Like, that feels good to me, especially compared to, I like Jalen Waddle. I don't really want to eat the Jordan Addison suspension in round 6 when I kind of like his floor or his ceiling. That's about what I expected, and that's about what I would expect him to do once he comes back. I've got 3 wide receivers I feel good about. I might snag the tight end here because the next option would be Mark Andrews on the wraparound. And I think I like Travis Kelce more for this year. And I could grab Rome Odunze or Caleb Johnson at pretty good value. So I think the market likes Travis Kelce more. I like Travis Kelce more. If they're both okay, Travis Kelce will have more trade liquidity. It would be easier to trade than Mark Andrews because even if Mark Andrews looks good, people are going to be worried about Isaiah Likely coming back from injury. So I'm going to take Kelce here. He has that role, and there's 2 good breakout options that I like coming back in the 7th. We wouldn't have gotten Andrews anyway. So we played it right, and now we have Rome Odunze and Caleb Johnson really as the only options I'm looking at here. If I had done a quarterback in round 4 or round 5, this is where I might consider taking someone that feels safe, like Jakobi Meyers. So this is very similar to me as Courtland Sutton, who we called out in round 5 being wide receiver 15 last year. Jakobi Meyers has just been better 4 years. They're similar in age, 28 to 29. I don't really make a distinction between. And I expect this offense to be a little bit better, a little more functional than last year. They were one of the top passing offenses last year, or like throwing the most, maybe not succeeding. And he was wide receiver 19, but I've seen him be 24 in a different offense. I've seen him be 28 with significantly fewer points in fewer games. Like, I would take Jakobi Meyers here if my team had been built differently. Here, I'm shooting for upside. Like, I've got guys that can cover. A.J. Brown, Metcalf can cover my flex. Gibbs, Williams can cover, or they can cover my receivers, and Worthy can be a flex. I'm shooting for like big value gains from either a running back or a receiver here. And I could go either way. Either way with Rome Odunze or Caleb Johnson. I'm going to take Rome. I'm going to take Rome. Why did I take Rome over Caleb Johnson? I think I'm just going to get some. I've got 2 stud running backs. I think I'm going to shoot for breakout wide receivers. And at that point, I could trade for running backs if I need to. Those would be pretty valuable. And now that this has come to me, I wish that I had gone a different direction. Because I wish I had gone Caleb Johnson because I could get Matthew Golden here. Because I have all of those players, though, I might take Kyler Murray. So Golden would definitely be in consideration. I'm not looking at Jonnu Smith here. I'm not super high on David Njoku. to keep repeating what he's done. Like if someone else takes David Njoku in round 8 and gets this continued breakout, that's okay by me. That's okay. If someone gets tight end, I think it's fair to say like tight end 8 or 9 in round 8, that's okay. He's in the last year of his deal with the Browns. They've drafted what I think they think is his replacement in Harold Fannin. So I'm really not targeting him as a guy. I'm trying to get someone before that, like Kelsey, Hockenson, Kittle, Bowers, Laporta in most of these drafts, and in most of my drafts in general. At this spot, I'm probably going with Matthew Golden or Kyler Murray. And I'm going to go with Golden here because I think we can still get really good quarterback play elsewhere. And we'll see how we feel about it. Murray goes immediately after. Ibuka would have been my guy here. I think, though, I would consider Herbert, but looking down the board, I would be fine with Brock Purdy, who might not get back to us. I would be really happy with Dak Prescott. I think I'm going to try to target Prescott and Drake May. And I'm also looking down the board saying, I kind of want to get J.K. Dobbins or Travis Etienne. Has he gone? Yeah, he just went. So possibly like Tank Bigsby or Jordan Mason as guys later. So they might not get back to me. Looking at this board, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, our draft so far, Xavier Worthy, Odunze Golden, I still don't want to lean running back. If one of these guys hits, if Roman, and we'll know pretty early, like we don't have to wait for a rookie Matthew Golden to break out. If Odunze hits, it's probably week 1 or 2. If Worthy hits, we'll probably know week 1 or 2. And if we need to, we could trade Xavier Worthy for Chase Brown. Like that is a realistic outcome that could happen in the season. So that's how I think about these drafts. Like I'll have my 2 running backs and I can get another one if I need to by trading one of these breakout players. So at this spot, after saying all that, I'm either going Ricky Pearsall or Jordan Mason. I'm not considering Colston Loveland. This would be far too early for a rookie tight end. Even one, like I'm in Chicago. I like the Bears. I like Colston Loveland as a prospect. It's just not that common that rookie tight ends are big breakouts. Like Brock Bowers was last year and Laporta the year before. And then like 2 decades of them not being massive breakouts. Kyle Pitts had a good year his rookie year. Let's just find Pitts and get this other example. Tight end 6. And then not much after that. That's the only 3 guys in a very long time. So I'm still just sticking with history, even though it's been changing recently. I'll be a dinosaur. I'll let it change for other people. And I think my chances of getting a breakout here are higher with Ricky Pearsall compared to Jordan Mason, who I also like. So I'm going to go with Pearsall. And the reason I'm shooting for so many breakouts is because if by some chance they all miss, Cortland Sutton was like a waiver wire guy last year. Jacoby Myers would have been a late round guy or an easy to trade for asset. So I do wish that I had gotten J.K. Dobbins here. I'm not heavily considering Ramondre Stevenson, although I think he'll have a role in New England. They can't really cut him and save any money. When they use him, he's not actually that bad. But here I'm going to go Dak. I think Dak has top 6 upside easily. And on the wraparound here, I would consider if Justin Fields was still available. He is. I would take him. And then I'm going to shoot for the upside again with Drake May. And then I'll probably grab another running back after that, and we'll wrap it up. Just a running back that we hope has a better role than we expected in week 1. So that could be Nick Chubb, that could be Tank Bigsby, and that guy would be my first cut. So in my draft, I'm thinking after week 1, when someone breaks out, if there's a breakout running back that we didn't see coming and I need to pick them up on waivers, who am I cutting? It's probably Tank Bigsby, unless Tank Bigsby is that guy. And we'll generally know in week 1. So I'm taking Tank there. And I'm probably going to do the same thing with Trey Benson. Similarly, or if you're drafting soon, just snag Ray Davis and see what happens with the James Cook contract. Or possibly Dylan Sampson. Here, I'm just going to snag Dylan Sampson. We don't know what's going on with Judkins, and he's still really low down here. So if you're not familiar with the Browns, they drafted 2 running backs this year in the 2nd and 4th round. I'm going to let this auto draft, well, it goes with kicker and defense as I talk through that last pick. The entire board is now visible. Let's just throw this thing on pause so it stops giving me notifications. What we've got so far, Gibbs and Williams as our running backs with some late flyers. And our plan post-draft is A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Xavier Worthy, Odunze, Golden, Pearsall. We're looking for breakouts. Second-year players like Pearsall, Odunze, and Worthy, we should expect to see them earlier. And Matthew Golden, we might have to hold for a month to 6 weeks. We have droppable guys if we need to in Tank Bigsby and Dylan Sampson, but they also have extreme upside, and we'll know pretty early on if they're moving into lead roles. We've got big upside, and I think a safe floor in Drake May, and massive upside, in Dak Prescott, and massive upside in Drake May. If any of these guys hit, we can always up tier. If Odunze smashes, you could easily go from Kyren and Odunze up into these top options. I've done that many, many times, and that's how we're building our team. We're building our team looking for big value gains that we can trade or that would free us up to trade someone else. If Odunze is amazing, you can trade A.J. Brown and get Bucky Irving or something else. Bucky Irving went before him, so you could more easily say you could trade A.J. Brown and get Chase Brown and replace A.J. Brown's production with Odunze. That's why we shoot for breakouts, to get as much value possible onto our team.